Okay, I want to just thank everybody who's signing on right now, and I am very honored to have a special guest with me today. I'm bringing in Pastor Kelly Richardson. And I'll slow down some. It's like a term paper. I'm gonna give you some footnotes. I think it was in. Oh yeah, Reclaiming the Throne. I saw on Tubi, and you were doing a walk. You were doing a walk through the First African Baptist Church in Savannah, and you showed the pews, and you showed the markings in the floor and all that stuff. And
If you're looking for proof that blacks in the diaspora spoke and wrote Hebrew, there's no better artifact to examine than First African Baptist Church in Savannah, Georgia.
I want to just say welcome to my uncle's church, your ancestors' church, a historical area that many have no clue exists. The sad part about it is they have 25,000 visitors every year to come tour this place, and maybe 5% of them are from our community. In this area is so many different historical monuments that tells us who we are. And the question is, who are we? Where do we come from? Where did they get us from? Who are we? Who are we according to scripture, but also historically, who are we? Now in this area, if you study the history of Savannah, Savannah is the first city that sold slaves. It is the first city. It's equivalent to Williamsburg or Jamestown of Virginia. But this is a very historical area. In this area, you'll find out that 75 slaves in 1803 that was on a ship coming from West Africa, and to be particular, they were of the Igbo tribe. They were captured. They were getting ready to transition them over to another area of Savannah, and they rebelled. The end result is they were able to overcome those that had kidnapped them, and in the end, they decided, every last one of them, to walk into the water. They came to the conclusion that they would rather die free than to live the rest of their lives as slaves. And so that area is called Igbo Landing, and a very historical area that I recommend everyone to go to. But this place here, what's significant about this place is the stories that my grandmother would tell me, my uncle would tell me, giving us the encouragement of pressing down to Savannah to understand who we are. But being young, we brushed it off. But when I first got here, when I first made my first visit 9 years ago, I discovered something that completely caught me by surprise. The Hebrew writings that's on the pews, the order, the structure of this place, where you see the founders here, how they are aligned going from right to left as ancient Hebrew is. When you look at this place and you see the writings, you see the floor, you see the design, you see the influence of the Ethiopian Hebrews. This place is rich with a lot of information. And one thing that really stands out is the sacrifices that they made, so that way we can have a place to not just worship, but a place that we could be reminded of who we are. Who we are. So when you come and visit this place, you'll see the floor, original flooring. You'll see the pews that's up in the balcony. You'll see the Hebrew inscriptions on it. To this day, they still haven't fully deciphered what it says, but all conclude that it is a cursive Hebrew writing that's on these pews. This church was built by free slaves, but primarily many of them, I said free slaves, free Negroes, or should I say free Hebrews, as well as enslaved. Our ancestors here in this area, inside this ministry, inside this church, spoke and wrote 6 different languages. You'll see books that really confirms who we are, even the material that they study. what you see all the way to the back there, at the top there, that organ there was donated. It's well over 200 years old. This pipe organ that's up at the top here. But all these lighting fixtures, all of this this is original. The floor, the wood floors, all of these are original. The lightings that you see here, this is original lighting. The lightings that you see around the altar, those are original. The reason why we see a lot of our information being watered down is because of the wives of the Confederate. It's a group here in Georgia that made a point to re-teach and change history of who we are, to water it down, to give the impression that we were immigrants versus kidnapped slaves here. And as we go up the stairs here, you can see the architecture of the craftiness of our ancestors. You see pews right here as soon as you come upstairs, and you see just the writings, some of the things that they carved on these pews here. You see some of the writings here, and again, when you turn it different ways, I mean, when I matched it up, and I'll show you guys some of the images, but you'll see some of the similarities to Ge'ez or Ge'ez, which is a Ethiopian Semitic language. This looks, depending on which angle you look at it, this could be considered the bet, what we call the bet, but again, if you just look at the markings, you see that our ancestors were literate. That's the point that I really want to make, and that they were Hebrews, and more particularly Hebrew Israelites. They're not using modern tools that we will use. They're using, chipper, and things along that line to do these things. So you see more writings here. There's some on both sides here, on both sides of the pews. See some more over here.
You were doing a walk through the First African Baptist Church in Savannah, and you showed the pews, and you showed the markings in the floor and all that stuff.
And what's so blessed about that is the Most High really to be one of the ones, if not the first one on record, to be able to transliterate a couple of the pews. And knowing that my great uncle James Wesley Carr, who was one of the founding pastors, and his picture is literally up on the stained glass of being one of the pillars of the church. And I'll pull up the presentation here real quick, the slide show, and I'll show you to the audience what we're referring to.
All right, I'm gonna put it. I see it, and it's up right now.
So this is the main pew you see when you're coming up the steps, and I focused on this area here because this is overlays here, so I didn't want to assume what this says. But this right here, what you see on your screen, this is what is called Ladino, right? And Solatreo is the script form of it, the cursive writing of it. And then you have within Ladino or Judaismo, you also have the print. So this is actually the script version of Solatreo. And this is what you see here on the screen. This is just me actually sharing with you guys exactly what this says. And make a long story short, this right here says Israel. Yisrael, that's what this says here. Yisrael. And then here, this says time, right? And so it says Israel's time. And that is the first pew that you see coming up the steps. And so this presentation is just me going through explaining those markings, so that way to show my methodology of explaining what we see on those pews. And so, like those two dots you saw in the beginning, this is just coming from Professor David Bunis, who's an Ashkenazi Jew, who's a professor in writing Judaismo. And so I was able to use his his guide here to really crack the code, so to speak. And so that's what that pew is actually saying. I'm gonna skip down here, just breaking it down. This is Yiz Ray El, right? And then when we go to the other portion of it, so we see to whom, right? But also when we take it a step further, we'll also see time. This phrase here means to whom, but also you can see time. Yam, right? That was one of the translations that I saw here. But then when I dug a little even deeper, I was able to see that this wasn't just to whom, but also time, Israel's time. So Yam, and when you look at the way that this letter is written out, then you could really see it. And I'll go into details with it. But one last point I'll make with another pew here, and I'm actually going to do a series on here, really transliterating another pew. This is what really brought tears to my eyes here, is when I transliterated this here. And these wiggly lines that you see here at the bottom of the pew,
On the right
that's
side,
these
yeah,
three lines here,
yeah.
right? That right there means it means men with whips. It
Wow.
means men with whips. And what you see here, this portion here, is a language called Nsibidi. And this is just going back to your point, things that we just didn't know. Like when we think about literacy, especially when we hear the term illiterate, right? We're told that our ancestors were illiterate, but not understanding what that truly means. It just means that they were illiterate to the English language,
Right.
but they spoke multiple languages on those slave ships. So what really helped me crack the code of the transliterating these pews was the Nsibidi language, right? And this right here is what I break down. So this means men with whips, and I share the formula of how we are to approach these Hebrew writings. So you see in the background, I'm sure you see these signs before,
Right.
like in a lot of the African garments. This is actually an Nsibidi language. It's a language of symbols, and how our ancestors were able to also communicate with each other through these symbols that they had, you also see throughout the church down in Savannah, Georgia.
So the cloth, like we used to call the kente cloth and all this stuff, there was actual language.
Yeah. So as you see here, it's actually called the Yukara cloth, right? And I'll go
Yes.
to
Okay.
this portion here of this presentation as I explain it here. Uh,
Let's see. I am a when it comes to this, I'm a geek. I love to learn this part of our history because it's stuff that we did not know. Because okay, you carry cloth.
yeah, Yukara cloth. So just for those that are not familiar with Nsibidi, Nsibidi is an ancient system of graphic communication indigenous to the Ijagama people of southeastern Nigeria and southwestern Cameroon and the Cross River region. So if you do your DNA, and I can guarantee you, 95% of us that do our DNA, that was descendants of those that's on those slave ships, you're going to see Cameroon come up on your DNA. You're going to see Nigeria. Of course, you're going to see Ghana, but you're going to see this territory here, Nigeria. You're going to see Cameroon. You're going to see these territories, which you'll see the Igbo, which have been proven to be blood descendants of Israel, right?
Wow.
Come up in your DNA. So that's why you see the name Igbo here. So it says it is also used by neighboring Ibibio, Ifiki, and Igbo people, aesthetically compelling and encoded. Nsibidi does not correspond to any one spoken language. It is a ideographic script whose symbols refer to abstract concepts, actions, or things, and whose use facilitates communication among people speaking different languages. So,
Hello, fam. Have you ever wondered about the true diversity of the biblical world, especially the role of Black people in shaping our faith's history? I've been on a transformative journey unraveling this rich heritage, and now you can come along with us through the Berean Scholar YouTube channel. I invite you to explore teachings, scientific explorations, and historical research that shine the light on our profound connection to biblical stories. Discover with us how DNA evidence and scholarly discussions reveal the undeniable presence of Black people in the Israelite community. It's time to deepen your understanding and see your reflection within the sacred pages. Please remember to like, click subscribe, and click the notification bell to stay up to date with Berean Scholar channel.